So the crypto markets are trading sideways right now. We have some key news events that are taking place that are going to be causing a lot of volatility in the markets, and everyone is expecting more deviations for Ethereum and for Bitcoin right now. Altcoin investors have been anticipating that Ethereum was going to be returning back to that 21-week estimated moving average, and that's currently what is taking place right now. And honestly, based off of exactly previous price action, we're expecting even more deviations. A lot of people are saying that if you're investing in altcoins, you should be expecting this volatility, and overall you should be expecting the crashes that take place on a week-to-week, on a month-to-month basis, based off of exactly how sentiment is around crypto, and also the key news events that are having an effect on volatility. On today's video, I want to walk exactly through what crypto analysts and traders are saying, what you should be doing if you're investing in crypto, and exactly if more deviations are going to be taking place. But if you're new to my channel, go and check out the rest of my content. Keep you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and exactly how to position yourself. I've been talking about how deviations were more than likely going to be taking place, but a lot of people were getting super bullish, calling for altcoin season already, and we're saying that Ethereum was already going to break through that new all-time high, and from there send altcoins and Bitcoin dominance down. But we're currently not seeing that. We're actually expecting Bitcoin dominance to see a little bit of recovery, which is why you need to be aware about all this information. So with all that being said, let's go to jump straight into the price action and what you need to be aware of. So as I said, guys, the markets are trading sideways. Bitcoin sitting at around 112,000, getting rejected at that 117,000 region. Over the weekend, we saw a little bit of a pump, but then massive deviations moving into Sunday and Monday as well. Ethereum is sitting at around 4,100, guys, on the verge of potentially falling below that 4,000 region. And honestly, returning back to that 21-week estimated moving average would put Ethereum somewhere around that 3,700 region. So we still have a ways to go if those deviations keep taking place. Altcoins are following the price action around Ethereum. So when Ethereum starts to dump, guys, the total 3E chart is also going to be showing that liquidity is pouring out of altcoins. And if we look at Bitcoin dominance, you can see that we are starting to see that correction, that pump up. And we've been talking about it in the last few videos that more than likely we were going to be reclaiming that 60% region. And that is currently what is taking place right now. In terms of the key news events that are happening this week, we have a lot of discussions from the Fed and also more information around the economy, how inflation is looking, and a lot of different perspectives from different sectors within the United States. The Kobesi letter has been keeping us up with this, and honestly, there's a lot of concerning points around multiple sectors in the United States. And on top of that, we also have other economies not performing quite well. Argentina for one, and a few others. So right now, guys, there's a lot of mixed sentiment and uncertainty in the market, not only due to the weakness around our the Fed, the labor market, the inflation data, and overall how the economy is looking for the United States, but also multiple other economies, which overall just has an effect on all that M2 money supply, all that global liquidity. So this is super, super important. And as the news events start to pour out, it's going to let us know exactly how to position ourselves and exactly if deviations are going to keep taking place. Now, KillXBT has been someone that has shown how the price action has been moving with Bitcoin whenever we open up on Monday all the way to when we close on Friday. And he said he gives a current outlook on how Bitcoin is looking. And I think this aligns perfectly with what everyone should be looking at for the price action around Bitcoin. It goes on to say Bitcoin dropped below 113.5K, resulting in a push down to 111.6K. This may simply be a deviation. A lot of people are also talking about how it's a manipulation in the market by the Binance cartel and overall big whales. Goes in to say, but it also represents a significant leverage flush at around 1.5 billion. From a weekly perspective, Bitcoin is now testing a previous wick low, which carries importance. If price cannot hold above Monday's low, it would likely result in a retest of the week lows near 110.6K. A breakdown below 110.6K would then open the path toward the monthly open. And everything that we're discussing, guys, you can see in these different frames, and a lot of this is also based off of specific value gaps, a Fibonacci sequence. There's a lot of different things, guys, monthly openings, closings, all this good stuff. Goes on to talk a little bit more into it. It says, on the other hand, if Bitcoin manages to hold the 111K to 112K region, a retest of the weekly open at 115.3K becomes likely. On the low time frame, Bitcoin would need to reclaim 114K, which currently acts as resistance before advancing toward the weekly open. In summary, holding above 112K points towards 114K as the next target. A break above 114K opens the way to 115K. Now, losing 112K points towards 110.6K as the next target. A breakdown below 110.6K leads to 108.2K. And this just keeps on progressing. And this is why the markets are trading sideways right now, because we're hitting specific zones, specific time frames, and then on top of that, specific gaps, guys, based off of how, we were seeing not only the monthly open, but also on a week-to-week basis. And this is why a lot of people are anticipating what's going to be happening, but everything is just trending sideways. And as we have more data around the Fed, as we see more sentiment from whale traders and investors, this lets us know if the deviation is going to continue or if we're going to be pumping. But right now, all eyes are on more deviations. If we jump into another perspective from Dr. Profit, another individual that has been keeping us updated on exactly why he's so bearish. Main point, guys, that you need to get through your head is that there has been massive selling pressure, massive liquidations, and it's mainly from big well investors. We also saw some huge CEOs sell massive stock options, which is also causing much more fluctuations in the market. And whenever these individuals usually sell out on their assets, we call them smart money. Dumb money starts to make a move, and that's going to be all the retail investors that don't know exactly what they're doing. So right now, this is where he goes in to talk about how the entire market is trapped based off of exactly what is going on. He says in the next days, you'll watch your beloved bull poster flip bearish, which is something that I've been talking about on the channel. But he goes on to talk about why everything dumped today. He says, today's dump was a liquidity grab caused by Binance and the market makers. This wasn't heavy spot selling from any well or serious player. It was pure manipulation. The so-called cartel engineered the move, and what's even worse is the ocean of liquidity is still waiting below. And what he means by that is the heat map that we had discussed multiple times on this channel, where it shows that liquidity is sitting at that 100,000 region to that 90,000 region. Much more liquidity is sitting there than above our previous all-time high, which really pours to the fact that we could be seeing a rally, but there is much more liquidity below that zone, which is why everyone thinks we're going to be falling below 100,000. Now take that with a grain of salt and what you will. There is still bullish perspectives, but everyone says investing in altcoins, this is an expectation that liquidations are going to happen, that corrections are going to take place, and the best thing that you can do is dollar cost average if you believe in your projects and if you believe in crypto in general. Crypto Mitch now gives his perspective around this. He says, get used to it. Those liquidation sweeps are going to happen quite often if there's a strong upwards run on altcoins. Lock your profits, avoid leverage trading. You generally don't need it. Compound your profits, have fun. So everything is trading sideways right now. You can see my portfolio. It's not looking too hot, and I'm sure a lot of people's portfolios are not looking too hot. And there's still more expectations that Bitcoin dominance is going to be forming a low and will start turning back up late September for basically all of October, which means liquidity is going to get squeezed out of Ethereum and altcoins and pour back into Bitcoin. Now, of course, some altcoins could still be outperforming, but at the end of the day, it's not looking too good on exactly what's more than likely going to be occurring. Going more into it, Benjamin Cohen gave his perspective back in August around exactly what Ethereum was going to be doing, and this is where it ties back into the idea that Ethereum made that new all-time high and is now returning to the 21-week estimated moving average. Once it hits that region, more than likely we're going to be seeing Ethereum rally, but it's a matter of time, guys. It's not just going to happen overnight. He goes on to say this was the right view. Ethereum went to 4,900, which was that new all-time high, then dropped to 4K. The mental gymnastics some carry out to say, and when I say new all-time high in terms of this cycle and what is currently taking place, the mental gymnastics some carry out to say I was wrong about this is ridiculous. And this is where I try to give you guys the perspective around this as well. I drop day-to-day content as opposed to a lot of influencers and Coles that talk about the markets in general. And this is why I can see how everyone just is super bullish, and then everything starts dumping, and then they just flip and say, oh yeah, I was expecting this. But if you're watching videos like mine or like Benjamin Cohen, you would have been aware that more than likely deviations were going to be taking place. Just you had to be patient. Now, right now, my crypto portfolio not looking too hot, and this is one of the main reasons why I was not dollar cost averaging. I was not throwing money into the market. I literally said that in a few of my videos because I was expecting more deviations, and that is currently what is taking place. now is the time to start dollar cost averaging and start throwing some money at the market, because what we're seeing is the lows, guys, the previous floors for a lot of these assets. And could we keep deviating? Yes, potentially. But right now is one of the best times to start allocating, because if we start to see a correction or some manipulation in the market, we could be seeing these assets pump quite significantly. But there's still expectations around more deviations and dumps in the crypto market. So overall, that is what is currently taking place. We have some key news events that are, of course, going to be causing volatility in the markets based off of the Fed's decisions, inflation data, and overall how the economy is looking. We also have multiple other economies not looking too hot, which is causing, investor sentiment to just shift in multiple directions. There is more expectations on deviations with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but right now everything is trading sideways, waiting for that next big move. So a lot of manipulation happening in the market, a lot of people selling out their portfolios right before we are going to be seeing a huge shift of liquidity, guys. And altcoin season is going to make a ton of people stupid rich. But most people don't have the patience, most people don't have the understanding of expertise, and most people do not follow the right sources of information. And I hope you're not one of those people. So if you're new to my channel, go and check out the rest of my content. I keep you updated on the day-to-day events, press action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and everything you need to be aware of. Guys, right now is a super important time. Why? Because we're on the last stretch. Whenever altcoin season happens, millionaires are made if you're invested in the right coins. And it's super important to understand this, because a lot of people have already tapped out. A lot of people are already, they're done, because they're illiterate whenever it comes to financial markets and, trying to understand where everything's moving. So this is super important to understand. If you can start to keep up with all this and manage it, invest into a crypto portfolio, you can potentially make a ton of money. But this isn't for everyone. That's why 99% of people that invest in crypto fail, because multiple things that I just said. But I'm gonna keep dropping day-to-day content, let you know how these news events are gonna be having an effect on the market, more deviations that take place, and exactly what I'm doing. So stay tuned, drop me a comment, like, subscribe, let me know what you guys think of the content, and hopefully everything doesn't just crash. But if it does, start buying just like me. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.